Oh, now y'all already know what time it is. Say check my man before I start my video, bro. Y'all already know what to do, man. Hit that like and hit that subscribe button. And when you hit that subscribe button, make sure you hit that bell notification all. So anytime I drop video, you'll be notified. ASAP Rocky, you can hop on and we can kick it and we can vibe. Growing up as a kid, I was a real shy, goofy, clumsy ass kid, you know what I'm saying? And I had a problem with sucking my fingers. Now I know that a lot of y'all probably be like, what he said? Yes, I used to suck my fingers, you feel me, for a long time. And honestly, I feel like that played a big part in my life as far as me trying to figure out certain things growing up, right? I lost my daddy to the system at the age of 8 years old. And it's kind of hard to say daddy when before 8 years old, I ain't really know him before a couple months. Then he got locked up for 20 years and he just got out when I was 28. I'm 28 right now. He literally just got out. So 20 years have passed. And I only really spent a couple months with him. Now at that point in time when I was young and he came around in my life, I was like, damn, that's Pops. But then again, I was so young, I didn't question anything like, what was you at these past 8 years? I didn't question it. I just wanted to be around him. One thing led to another. Boom, he got locked up for 20 years. Me growing up without a daddy really impacted my life. Because I didn't have one, right? I just made a video this morning talk about being grateful. And to be honest with you, I'm grateful that my mom was there for me and my brother. As time started to progress in my life, I was real angry because I didn't understand what he went in for. I was told by people that he ain't even really claimed me as his child. It was other dudes who was saying I'm the pappy without them really being the pappy, but they was there. So as time started to go on, my mom starts dating different guys. These dudes was trying to be my stepdaddy. But I never once called another man my stepdaddy. Because a lot of dudes went in my mama's life for that long. You know what I'm saying? So I felt like I had a hard time adjusting to another man trying to tell me what to do. Other than my mama. And me and my brother eyes, whatever your name is, that's what we gonna call you. With no disrespect. But I just don't look at you as a father figure. Both of my uncles was in and out of prison. So we couldn't lean on them to look at them like a father figure. Now my other two uncles, they wasn't really around like that. Right? My Uncle Cat and my Uncle Dugan, they was. So we looked at them like, okay, but they was in and out of prison. So growing up, I kind of felt lost. Everybody going around, everybody around their daddies, everybody talking about this, and everybody talking about that. Hold on, it's getting a little hot in here. Everybody talking about this and everybody talking about that. But I couldn't have conversations with my kinfolk, be like, yeah, boy, me and my dad was outside throwing the football. Yeah, boy, me and my dad were doing it. Me and my dad doing that. I never had those types of conversations. And my mama was a workaholic. You feel me? She wasn't getting out there throwing the football with me and my brother or anything like that. And there's no knock to my mama. My mama did what she had to do for me and my brother to grow up as men. One thing I learned is a woman cannot teach a man how to be a man. Now, I didn't say a woman can't raise a young man, into a man, because a lot of us had single moms who raised us into men. But your mama can't teach you what your daddy can teach you. Your mama can't teach you how to be a man. How can a woman teach a man how to be a man if she's not a man? That's just like, how can a man teach a young woman how to be a woman if he's not a woman? I didn't say you can't raise them. Don't try to twist my words, because I know some of y'all will. What I said was, A woman or a man can raise a young man or a young woman, but they can't teach them how to be men or women. It don't work like that. So me realizing this, I felt like I started to take a different route than other kids. Some of these dudes out here, they daddy been putting them on game since they was knee high. They coming out aggressive. You see what I'm saying? These dudes coming out aggressive. They daddy teaching them how to fight. They daddy teaching them how to stick up for themselves. They daddy teaching them what and what is not bullshit. They daddy teaching them the game. But I was far behind. See what I'm saying? So I had to play catch up. But I ain't had no hot dog or no bread to put the ketchup on. My ketchup was just on the plate. And I don't even like ketchup. I'm a mustard type of nigga, you feel me? As I'm starting to see certain things, I question life. Why my dad ain't trying to be in my life? Why this and why that? Not understanding that this man is doing a 20-year bid in a state prison. As time progresses in my life, something happened to me when I was younger that really messed me up mentally, physically, emotionally. It's something that I don't want to speak on, but it's something that mentally messed me up. Because certain things not supposed to happen to kids as you grow up in life. Certain things kids not supposed to witness, be around, see, and or hear. It's certain things that kids not supposed to be exposed to. You see what I'm saying? And I was exposed to something, and something happened to me at a young age that really messed me up to the point where I didn't really understand why it happened. And at that point in time, at that age, I just knew it wasn't supposed to happen. So now, as I'm getting older, from a kid, I'm steady looking at that same situation like, why me? Why did this have to happen to me? Why? I would lay up at night, I would cry, and I would just look up at my ceiling and ask God why. Not knowing that he had a bigger plan and a bigger purpose for me. So I would sit back and I would reflect on all these things that I would think about. And it built in a different type of rage, a different type of anger inside of me that I didn't know how to let out. Once I started to hit my teens, a lot of stuff started to go on in school. The first thing that probably happened to me was the bullying, right? I didn't have no pops in my life to be like, nah, you got to go handle that. Because if you don't handle it, I'm going to handle you. And I'm going to still make you go handle that. I have older siblings from Joe's side, right? Now, my older siblings lived in Texas. I lived in Louisiana. I didn't really get to be around my older siblings. And everything happens for a reason. Certain things you're supposed to miss out on in life, and certain things are just bound to happen. As I get older, I wonder why I wasn't around them as much. And then as I get around them, as I'm getting a little older, I'm starting to understand certain things. Your mama always tell you, it's certain people that, you should stay away from. It's certain people that you should watch from afar. The activities that my brothers, and I'm not going to say all my sisters, was into was activities that I was too young for. They got me by years, except my older sister, Ashley. I'm starting to realize at this age, okay, I think I understand a little bit. Because for me being the age that I was and the age that they was a big age gap. And I wasn't ready for the things that they was indulging in. I wasn't ready for the activities that, they subjected themselves to. I was too young. I was a baby. At that point in time, me being around them, I wanted to tell them what happened to me when I was younger. But then I felt like, but why even tell them that though? What is that gonna do? So I kept it to myself. As time started to go on, the void of not having Joe around, which is my daddy, it started to dim. That light that I had started to dim and dim and dim. After a while, I really didn't care no more. And I was more so trying to figure out, how can I try to be a young man? So as middle school started to keep rolling around, after the whole bullying situation popped off, I had to learn how to fight back. So I did. After I got through with all that, the hunching game started. Now, with the hunching game, it'd have been cool to been like, say, pops, man, I was at the school, you know what I mean? A little female came, threw it back on me, you know what I mean? I handled that. You feel me? It'd been cool to have a daddy just to be like, I tell him what happened with me and my little you feel me? So he can give me game. But I ain't had it. I started to do the little hunching thing, and then I realized real quick, this is very powerful and very dangerous. Because not only am I hunching, I'm starting to get this urge of, I want to do something. So when the time came for me to do something, I didn't have a daddy to tell me, say, strap up. Right? I'm not saying I learned that on my own, but it was other people who was like, hey, if you doing what you're doing, you might want to strap up. And I'm like, how you do that? And I was taught. They always say the game is to be sold, not told. That's real. So as 14 come around, I never forget. I lose my virginity. You will never forget when you lose your virginity. I don't give a fuck how old it is. That's something that's going to always be up here. When I lose my virginity, I wish I would have had a pot to be like, hey, bitch. Hey, you will never get what I did. I done knocked it down. But I ain't really knocked nothing down. I just had it. You know what I mean? As time starts to go on, life hits me. I get heavy into drugs. After my concussion in football, that's when everything took a turn for the tide. And I ain't talking Alabama, you hear me? I started to realize real quick who to be cool with and who not to be cool with. Who to trust and who not to trust. But even then, when you're young, you might think you know the world, but you really don't. You just know a small percentage of it, you feel me? I started to smoke real heavy, and that became my life. Now, don't get it twisted. I was still athletic. I'm still athletic. I get out there and bust ass on the football field. I bust ass, goddamn me, playing basketball. Fuck around, what you want to do? You want to hit a baseball bat? What's happening? What you trying to run? What's happening? Like, I still got it in me, right? But once I started smoking, I caught those 2 concussions. I lost the love of football because I was so into women and drugs. It wasn't until about 17 where I really kind of started to get to, I want the bag. I want money. But the only reason that happened was because I had got my BM pregnant. So I was looking at the situation like, I'm not trying to have my mama do everything for me. I'm still a child. At the end of the day, where I look like my mama raising me and raising my kid. So I got a job. Once I got that job and I got my first check, it wasn't nothing. But when I looked at it, I said, damn, it's a check. Like my first check. What I'm going to spend it on. Right? Honestly, I feel like when I talk about guidance, knowledge, and wisdom, I'm talking about that from a father's standpoint. Not from a young man's standpoint. Not from I'm just a grown man now, from a father's standpoint. Understand that at that point in time when I started getting money, started getting checks, my mom was the father and the mother in the household. But how can a woman raise a man to be a man? She can just raise you, bro. She can give you game. Don't get me wrong, women can give you game. But can they give you game like your daddy could? Could a man give a woman game like her mama could? Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that. I'm talking about deeper than that. Bro, I'm talking about deeper than what's a leader. Are you a leader or a follower? I'm talking deeper than what's integrity. I'm talking deeper than these things that you can teach your daughter, the value of life. But I'm talking deeper than that. I'm talking about what her mama can teach her. What her mama can teach her about being a woman. What a man can teach his son about being a man. Right? So, I'm getting this little money. And I wish I had a pops to be like, say, look, let me holler at you over here real quick. I see you getting that little bag and shit, you feel me? I'm going to tell you right now. I done been through everything that you going through right now, big dog. Best thing for you to do is try to save some money. Try to put you like $50 from every check, $100 from every check to the side for a rainy day. Because you never know when shit'll hit the fan. And when it do hit the fan, you got this rainy day save fund over here that you could pull from, bro, when you really need it, right? That's free game. See what I'm saying? My mom was with a guy, and he was on that type of timing where he was trying to be a father, right? And I was so rebellious that I didn't want to hear that, right? I'm looking at it like, bro, you not my daddy, bro. You feel me? I'm getting older. I'm not trying to hear nothing that you got to say. And sometimes I look back on those situations and I be like, damn, I wish I would have just listened to what he had to say. You know what I'm saying? But like I say, everything happens for a reason. If you don't go through nothing, you would never learn nothing in life. Even with your mama and your dad in your life, you still gonna go through something. You still gonna learn something. Whether they teach you or whether you bump your head. So as he trying to be a father, I'm so rebellious to it. I'm like, I'm not trying to hear that, bro. You're not even my daddy, bro. You feel me? Play your part. But I wish I didn't have that mindset back then. And I wish I understood a little bit more so I can be like, I understand what you're saying. But my maturity level was so low at that time, I didn't want to hear that shit, bro. As time starts to go on, y'all know the story. I had kids. I think the hardest thing for a man is to have kids without him having a dad in his life to teach him how to be a daddy. Because every man I know who had kids, I don't give a fuck if it was a young age, you got a little bit older. I don't care, bro. I don't care the age gap. This was the first thing you said to yourself and the first thing you said to your baby mama. Because you didn't have a dad in your life. The first thing you said was, I don't know if I'm going to be a good father or not. Why you think that? Because I ain't have a father in my life to teach me nothing. So how am I supposed to teach my child, my son, my daughter, anything if I didn't have a daddy in my life to teach me nothing. Right? You know how many times I've heard that? You know how many times I done said that? Off my first child and my second child. By the time I had my third child, it was good. I learned a couple things, and 4 years had already passed. Me having kids at a young age without a pops in my life really taught me a lot. See, this ain't no video where it's like, oh, I ain't had no daddy in my life, bro. Like it. No. Remember what I told y'all? Game ain't based on sympathy. That's why I got it tatted across the chest, because it ain't. Game will never be based on sympathy. The faster you learn that, the better off you'll be. I'm just keeping it a bean, dog. So me going through that transition of me having kids while my daddy locked up in the pen, I decided I should go see him. I went to go see my pops when I was probably like 20, 21 years old. About 20, 21 years old. He was locked up in David Wade's. That's in Homer. You feel me? Homer, Louisiana, David Wade. I went out there to see him. And when I seen him, he looked the same like he did for those couple months when he was in my life. Bald head, real short, no facial hair. Looked the same, but just a little bit older. We greeted each other, sat down, and we talked. I felt like a big ass kid in front of that nigga, bro. Cheesing and shit, showing my goals. As the conversation went through, we talked for like damn near 2 hours. And the whole time we talking, he kind of just wanted me to talk. He's saying stuff, but he really just peeping game on me. Once we got done with it, I ended up giving him my number, and we ended up talking on the phone. You know what I'm saying? And right then and there, it was like, that was my catch-up moment. Because the whole time me and him talking, I'm telling him about things that happened when I was younger. I'm telling him about things that he missed out on in life. See, me and him having that conversation back then was kind of like a start-over period. Oh, I was doing this, I was doing this, I was doing this, I was doing this. Right? Things that he should have been there for him to witness himself. I look back on those moments when I was playing football and my mama was there. But I ain't had no father figure to be like, I see you, boy. But then again, as I got older, no tears were shed. Because I started to understand that game ain't based on sympathy. I started to understand that, yes, even though some dudes on your team or some dudes in your life, whatever it may be, they got their pops, but you never know what they're going through. Mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, none of that. All you see is the outside looking in, and they don't know nothing about your life. I learned not to compare my life to anybody else's life, because my life is very special. It's unique. Don't nobody have a life like I have. And don't nobody have a life like you do. So as I'm just kicking it, trying to understand certain things, I start to go out of town. Once I start to go out of town, as I get a little older, from meeting him when I was like 20, 21 years old, I started to have sex with a lot of women. I feel like the reason I was having sex with a lot, even before that though, like even when I was in my teens, I was having sex with a lot of women. Right before I got tied down with my BM. I felt like I was having sex with a lot of women because of what happened to me when I was younger. And I was trying to understand why was I doing this the way that I was doing it. But then it all clicked. This is why you're doing this. because of what happened to you when you was younger, you know what I'm saying? And it all made sense. Because in the beginning, I was a very shy kid. You know, I didn't like to do too much talking. You know what I'm saying? I just want to be by myself. Well, after getting dogged so many times, I decided to become a dog. And then I was having sex with so many women that I felt like the reason why I was doing it was because of what happened to me when I was younger. Me going out of town was probably the best experience that I had. But not just for sex. The experience of work ethic, becoming a young man, growing, going through something to learn something, understanding that sometimes, bruh, it ain't always about you. So as time started to go on and I come back from out of town, obviously everybody know what happens. I end up telling BM that I'm doing me, you should do you. And I end up doing me. My life changed dramatically once I got on ice. Once I got on ice, I didn't have control of myself. But then at the same time, my awareness picked up. But then at the same time, I started paying attention to my surroundings when I should have been doing that. Me being on the dope was probably the best and worst thing that ever happened to me. Because at that point in time, I was at my lowest. And I found out who I was as a man. But what's really crazy about this whole story was I didn't need Joe to teach me how to be a man. I had to bump my head a couple times because I had to go through something to learn something. As time got on, bad off on the dope. Damn near lost my life twice drowning in the tub. Life changed me. God put me in an isolation state of mind. I started praying more, asking for guidance, knowledge, and wisdom. And before you know it, my mother-in-law told me to pack up my bags and come out here. Not from my BM though. From this woman I met years ago. The woman that I am with today, I've been knowing her a long time ago. When I came out here to Dallas, I learned a lot about myself. You know, they say real hustlers could be down, but they'll find a way to get back up. You ain't got to be no real hustler to be selling dope or any of that. A real hustler mentality is we fall down, but we get up. By any means necessary. And I ain't talking Brother Malcolm X, you hear me? I found a way to get back up when I was already down. It didn't take Joe to be in my life for me to understand that. So as I turned 28 in September of last year, he ended up getting out. When he ended up getting out, me and him got in contact and we started talking. We started talking for a couple months. But as time go on, I'm looking at certain things, realizing certain things. But you know they say it's chess, not checkers, right? Because I can remember me and him talking. And he said, I'll beat you in 2 moves if we play chess. And I'll tell you exactly how I'm going to do it. And basically what he was saying was, I might move my pawn up once. He gonna make it move his pawn, opening up his queen. And I'm gonna move. Once I move the pawn and he move his pawn to establish dominance in the middle of the board, I was gonna move my rook to try to block that pawn from taking my pawn once he moves it. And he'll bring his queen down to set up for the sacrifice. He didn't tell me that, but that's how I was looking at it. I ended up playing chess with Joe T, and he spanked me with that same move. I moved my pawn up. He knew I was gonna do it. He made a line for his queen. I didn't see it coming. Checkmate. You know, they always say you should never give up your move. You don't want nobody to anticipate it, you feel me? A lot of people always say too, you can listen to a person talk too much and eventually you'll get everything that you need out that person. I didn't need you in my life to teach me that. I had to bump my head. Understanding where he came from for 20 years. He is ahead and he is ahead of me and he is behind me. Because for 20 years, I learned a lot about this world. But for 20 years, he learned a lot about prison, which he was already there before that hand. I look back on certain things and our conversations that we had, and I ask myself, what was the meaning behind everything? What was the purpose? I don't give a fuck about feelings. I don't give a fuck about no caring. What was the meaning behind everything? And what was the purpose? Sometimes people are so cold with the game. They'll make you think they going left, but they really going right. Never let a motherfucker know your next move, cause your next move might be your best move. I'm just keeping it a bean, dog. Now I have 3 kids. I look at my kids every day, and I thank God that I am still breathing. To be here another day for them. I don't know his situation or how he ended up in prison, or whatever the case may be. Some motherfuckers might be like, oh shit, he was trying to put food on the table. Some motherfucker might be like, oh, he was trying to make sure you was straight. But I don't think that was the case. Honestly, who knows what the case was? You know how how people say you can look a motherfucker in their eyes and tell everything that you need to know about a person? Enough said, huh? You could look into a man's eyes and see his soul if you look a little harder, a little deeper. They also say too that you got 2 ears and 2 eyes for a reason, because you need to listen more and pay attention more what's going around you than talking. They say this right here get you killed when you coming from a world that he in. Growing up in life, one thing that taught me without having Joe in my life is never underestimate anybody and always be prepared for anything, because you never know what can happen. And once it happens, you gotta go through something to learn somehow. One thing I'm trying to make sure and trying to prevent is that my kids never have to go through not having a daddy and learn from it. Understand what I just said. One thing that I am trying to make sure is that my kids never have to go without having a daddy and learning how to deal with it. Because a lot of times in life, you gotta go through something to learn something. If you don't go through nothing, you don't learn nothing. But if Joe was in my life when I was younger, maybe I would have learned the wrong things. Everything happens for a reason, right? It was a reason my mama raised me and my brother. Right? It was a reason our house had got broken into on Rainbow Drive in the Grove. Right? It was a reason we didn't get killed that day when they had left that note. Bitch, if you was here, we was gonna kill you and your kids. Right? It was a reason that happened to me when I was young. Right? It was a reason me and my mom and my brother moved out to the country when we was little. It was a reason everything happened to me when I was young. Right? I look back on life and I smile. Because I'm still here breathing. I don't knock Joe though. Never knock the move till the move get knocked. I learned that. And I ain't have Joe in my life. Now I know what y'all are probably thinking. Why are you calling him Joe and not Pops? Because I had to understand something. I only had him in my life for a couple months. How you can call somebody a daddy, you only had them in your life for a couple months? Make that make sense. This motherfuckers who been in their kids' life 5, 10 years and fucking went MIA for 20, 30, and they kids looking at them like, shit, I don't know you. I'm just keeping it a bean, dog. This right here is a letter to Joe. This a letter to Joe. I don't knock you, my nigga. Because remember, it's chess, not checkers, right? Oh, okay. I had to understand a lot. And still understanding a lot. Because even though I'm only 28 going on 29 years old, I don't know everything. And not one man knows everything. But I'll never forget when he asked me, what's your philosophy in life? And I told him, guidance, knowledge, and wisdom. And if it ain't that, shit, I already know what time it is with me. That whole weight. I'm just keeping it a bean, dog. But look, man, one last for 3 things, man. Guidance, knowledge, and wisdom. And if it ain't that, man, I already know what time it is with me over here. Till next time. Or now, I appreciate everybody who rock on my videos. I appreciate everybody who gonna tap into this video right here. This is one of them videos that come straight from the heart. I'm giving it to you raw and uncut. We ain't sugarcoat nothing over here, you feel me? And we always gonna keep it a bean. For shit show. Understand certain things that you're going through in your life. Because once you can understand certain things that's going through your life, emotions will be taken out of it. Feelings will be taken out of it. Because you have knowledge on what's going on. And once you have knowledge of what's going on, you're more powerful than what you think. You know, they say the smartest man in the room is this. You want to be the smartest man in the room by listening, paying attention, and talking less. Because once you get that down pat, you're going to be a fool with it. I'm just keeping it a bean, dog.